Abigail Smith had always led a simple life, content with her steady job and her boyfriend, Norman Kings. But sometimes life doesn't follow the path we expect. When Norman harshly rejects her heartfelt marriage proposal, Abigail's world shifts in ways she never could have imagined. The moment seemed perfect. Her heart was pounding, her palms were sweating, but she kept telling herself it would be worth it. Norman sat across from her, completely unaware of what she was about to do. She could barely contain her excitement. The small velvet box in her pocket pressed against her leg, a reminder of the lottery ticket inside. A ticket she had won 2 days ago with a sum so large it felt unreal. Tonight, she was going to share her future with him. "Norman," she said, clearing her throat. Her boyfriend of 2 years looked up from his phone, eyes half-lidded with the same uninterested expression he always wore when she spoke. "Hmm?" he mumbled, taking a sip of his beer. She forced a smile. I wanted to ask you something important." Norman frowned slightly, finally looking at her. "What's up?" Abigail reached into her pocket, her fingers trembling as she wrapped them around the small box. With a shaky breath, she pulled it out and placed it on the table between them. Her voice wavered. "Norman, will you marry me?" There, she had said it. The words hung in the air, heavy with expectation. Her heart raced as she waited for his reaction. She thought he would smile, maybe tear up, or at least look surprised. But his expression was none of those things. It was pure disdain. He stared at the box, then at her, as if she had offered him something repulsive. "Are you serious?" His voice was flat, with a hint of amusement at the edges. Abigail's pulse quickened. This wasn't how she had imagined it going. "Yes, I'm serious. I love you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you." Norman leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms over his chest. His lips curled into a smirk, but it wasn't a warm smile. It was cold and mocking. "You actually thought I'd say yes?" His words hit her like a punch to the gut. She blinked, struggling to understand. He scoffed, shaking his head. "Come on, Abigail, look at you. Why would I want to marry you? You're so clueless. You really think I'd commit to someone like you?" Her stomach twisted into a tight knot and bile rose in her throat. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. "Norman, God, you're so desperate," he interrupted, leaning forward, his voice dripping with venom. "You're a joke, Abigail. Always trying so hard to please me, running around like a little puppy, hoping I'll throw you a bone. It's embarrassing." Tears stung her eyes, but she fought to keep them at bay. "Why would you say that?" Norman snorted. "Why? Because it's the truth. I'm not marrying you, Abigail. You're nothing but a clingy, insecure mess, and honestly, you're not even that hot. I've been sticking around because it's easy. You don't ask for much, and you're always there when I need something. But marry you? No chance." The room seemed to spin around her. His words were like shards of glass, each one cutting deeper than the last. "Norman, He cut her off with a sneer. "What, you think some ring and a romantic dinner will change my mind? You don't get it. You're nothing, Abigail. I'm out of your league." She opened her mouth to tell him about the ticket, but the words wouldn't come. Suddenly, the lottery win felt meaningless. He didn't deserve it. He didn't deserve any of it. Norman stood up abruptly, knocking his chair back with a loud scrape against the floor. The entire restaurant turned to look at them. His eyes flashed with anger, his lips curled in disgust as he grabbed his coat. "This was a waste of my time," he muttered before turning on his heel and storming out without a backward glance. Abigail sat frozen in her seat, the small box with the lottery ticket still in front of her. The air was thick with the stares of other diners, their whispers loud in the heavy silence that followed his exit. Her face burned with humiliation, and her chest ached with a pain so deep she thought she might break apart right there. She needed to leave. She needed to get out of there. Grabbing the box, Abigail stuffed it into her purse and stumbled to her feet. Her legs felt shaky, and the weight of every set of eyes in the room pressed down on her like a suffocating blanket. She could hear the murmurs, the judgment. They all saw. They all knew. She bolted for the door, pushing past the hostess stand without a word, her vision blurring with unshed tears. The moment she stepped outside, the cold rain hit her like a slap in the face. She didn't care. She just wanted to get as far away from that restaurant, from the humiliation, and from Norman as she could. But her feet slipped on the slick pavement. She fell hard, her knee slamming into the ground, sending a jolt of pain up her leg. Her hands hit the concrete, scraping against the rough surface, and she gasped as the rain pelted down, soaking her to the bone. For a moment, she just sat there, crumpled on the sidewalk, too devastated to move. Then she felt strong hands wrap around her arms, lifting her to her feet. Her heart raced as she looked up, expecting another round of humiliation. Instead, she was met with the deep, concerned eyes of a man she had never seen before. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and utterly handsome, with rain-soaked dark hair plastered against his forehead. His sharp jawline was softened by the rain, but his eyes were bright and piercing, almost too beautiful to be real. "Are you all right?" His voice was rich, steady, and carried a warmth she hadn't felt in what seemed like ages. I'm fine," Abigail stammered, though she was far from fine. Her chest still hurt, and she could feel the tears threatening to spill. The man didn't release her arms. Instead, he tilted his head, studying her with a hint of curiosity. "You're not fine," he said gently, but his words cut through the fragile wall she was trying to build around herself. A sob slipped out before she could stop it, and she quickly covered her mouth, mortified. To her surprise, he smiled, a slow, easy smile that seemed out of place in the chaotic rain. "Don't cry," he said softly. "I have a solution for you." Abigail blinked up at him, utterly confused. "What do you mean?" The rain poured harder, drenching them both, but he didn't seem to care. He leaned in slightly, his voice low but firm. "I'll marry you." Her breath hitched. "What?" "I'll marry you. I need a wife, and you want a husband." "It's perfect," he repeated, his eyes never leaving hers. Abigail stared at him, too shocked to respond. Was this man crazy? Who just proposes marriage to a stranger in the middle of the street, in the pouring rain? He must have sensed her hesitation because he gave a light chuckle, the sound deep and soothing despite the absurdity of the situation. "I'm serious. I don't know what happened in there, but it's clear you don't have anything to lose. Neither do I." Abigail's heart was still reeling from Norman's cruelty, and now this stranger was standing in front of her, offering her something she hadn't expected, a way out. "Why?" she managed to ask, her voice trembling. "Why do you need a wife right now?" He shrugged, rain dripping from his coat. "Business reasons. You wouldn't believe it if I told you, but trust me, it's mutually beneficial." "What do you say?" Abigail opened her mouth to protest, to say something rational. But then, she thought of Norman, of the heartache and humiliation she had just suffered. What did she have to lose? The box with the lottery ticket burned a hole in her purse, a reminder of what she had planned tonight. Norman didn't deserve it, but maybe. "Okay," she whispered, barely able to believe the word had left her lips. The man smiled again, his grip on her arms tightening just slightly as he nodded. "Good, let's get out of the rain then, and figure out the rest. By the way, I'm Liam Kennedy." "Abigail Smith," she replied, and just like that, her world shifted. The courthouse was quiet, the hum of fluorescent lights overhead, as Liam and Abigail stood before the clerk. She barely registered the words being said, everything around her feeling like a surreal dream. It had been less than an hour since she agreed to marry him, and now here they were, about to make it official. Her heart pounded, her mind spinning with questions she didn't have the courage to ask. Liam was calm, collected, standing beside Abigail as if they'd planned this for months, not minutes. His hand brushed against hers, warm and steady, grounding her when she felt like she might float away from the weight of it all. Before the ceremony began, Liam turned to her, his expression suddenly serious. "I have 2 requests," he said. "One, keep our marriage a secret for a little while. I have my reasons, and I promise you'll understand soon enough. And 2, don't do anything to embarrass me after we're married. I know that sounds harsh, but I have a reputation to protect." Abigail blinked, the oddness of his request catching her off guard. But what could she say? She was already in too deep. "Okay," she said quietly. "I agree." Liam smiled, his eyes softening as he nodded. He glanced at her purse. "Good. Now, do you want to give me the box?" Her heart skipped a beat. The box, she had almost forgotten about it in the whirlwind of emotions. She hesitated, her fingers curling around the strap of her purse, uncertainty creeping in. But this was Liam, her soon-to-be husband. She had nothing to hide from him. Slowly, she pulled the box from her purse and handed it to him. He opened it, and his eyes widened when he saw the folded slip of paper inside. He pulled it out, and she watched as recognition dawned on his face, his lips curving into a smile. The lottery ticket. This is the one everyone's been talking about. Abigail nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. It was supposed to be my engagement present to you. Now it's yours. Liam's gaze softened, and to her surprise, he handed the ticket back to her. Keep it, he said simply. She frowned, confused. But why? I wanted you to have it. All your questions will be answered later, he interrupted, his tone gentle but firm. For now, just hang on to it. Trust me. Trust him. The words echoed in her head. He would soon be her husband. Trust was part of the deal, right? The ceremony was over quickly, a blur of vows and signatures, and before she knew it, they were married. I'm sorry I don't have a ring for you, Liam said. I promise I'll get you a proper one soon. He slipped off the signet ring he'd been wearing on his pinky and slid it onto her finger, where it fit snugly. Abigail stared at it for a moment, the reality of what they were doing settling into her bones. This was happening. This man she had just met was now her husband. Liam slipped his hand into hers, his grip warm and reassuring. And for the briefest moment, she felt like maybe this wasn't a mistake. They walked out of the courthouse and into the rain-soaked streets. Now, I want you to move into my place, Liam said. Her eyebrows shot up. Your place? He smiled, though it didn't quite reach his eyes. Yes, unfortunately I won't be there for a while. I've got some business to take care of, but don't worry, you'll be expected. Just pack your things and head over. Here's the address. He handed her a card with an address written in neat, precise handwriting. I'll be back in a week. Before she could ask any more questions, he kissed her on the forehead, murmured a quick goodbye, and disappeared into the rain. Back at her apartment, Abigail stared at the half-packed suitcase on her bed, her mind still reeling from everything that had happened. She had just gotten married to a man she barely knew, and now she was supposed to move into his place while he disappeared. As she stuffed a few more things into her suitcase, there was a knock at the door. Her heart leaped. Maybe Liam had come back, but when she opened the door, it wasn't Liam standing on the threshold. It was Norman. Her stomach twisted. He looked just as she remembered, disheveled, angry, with that cruel glint in his eyes that had haunted her ever since he'd walked out of that restaurant. Abigail, we need to talk. She tried to close the door, but he pushed his way inside, his presence filling the small space. What the hell, Norman? She snapped, her heart racing. You have no right to be here. He ignored her, his eyes scanning the packed suitcase. Where are you going? Like you care. She shot back, her voice shaking with anger. Norman smirked, stepping closer. Oh, I care, Abigail. His smirk made her skin crawl. He stood there, so sure of himself, leaning against the wall like he had all the power in the world. For a moment, she was speechless, staring at him in disbelief. After everything he'd said in that restaurant, after humiliating her in front of everyone, he was standing here, smiling. Norman took a step closer, that familiar, condescending gleam in his eyes. You know, I've thought about it, Abigail, really thought about it, and I've decided that I'm willing to accept your proposal. Abigail's stomach churned, but she didn't say anything. Not yet. He continued, his tone casual, as if he were discussing the weather. I was hesitant at first because, well, I thought maybe you were just after my money. It wouldn't be the first time, you know. Girls like you tend to get stars in their eyes when they meet a guy with my kind of background. Her hands tightened into fists at her sides. Was he serious? Norman went on, oblivious to the rage slowly simmering beneath her skin. But then I realized, you're not smart enough to be a gold digger. She blinked, her mind struggling to keep up with the absolute absurdity of what he was saying. You're a little too simple-minded for that. And that's when it hit me. Given my looks, my wealth, my family background, I need someone like you. His words hung in the air, thick and suffocating. He clarified, as if she didn't understand. Someone obedient. Someone who loves me, who admires me. You do love me, Abigail, right? He tilted his head, studying her like she was some charity case he was about to save. I mean, you were practically begging for my hand in marriage. Abigail's jaw tightened, her pulse hammering in her ears. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. Norman smiled, stepping closer, his voice dropping to a softer tone, as if he were offering her the greatest gift in the world. "So I'm doing you a favor. You get to marry me, the man you love. That's what you want, right? To be Mrs. Norman Kings?" She stared at him, dumbfounded by the audacity of this man. He stood there, waiting for her to fall at his feet in gratitude. In his mind, he was doing her the biggest favor of her life by allowing her to marry him. She thought about the lottery ticket, the one that made her wealthier than Norman ever dreamed of being. And then she thought about Liam, tall, broad-shouldered Liam with his warm smile and the confident way he carried himself. She thought about how Liam's eyes softened when he looked at her, how his hands had gently pulled her up from the rain-soaked street. Liam was more handsome, more kind, and, well, taller. Abigail couldn't help but glance down at Norman's shoes, her lips twitching in amusement. Liam had bigger feet, too, and everyone knows what that means. She pressed her lips together to suppress a laugh, the absurdity of the situation making her feel lighter, as if a weight had lifted from her shoulders. Norman raised an eyebrow. "What's so funny?" She shook her head, her amusement quickly fading as the reality of his words hit her again. He had no idea. No idea about the lottery, no idea about Liam. And here he was, standing in her apartment, telling her she was lucky to marry him. The words formed in her head, all the things she wanted to say to him. She wanted to scream that she didn't need him, that she had more money than he'd ever see in his life, that she'd found someone far better. But she remembered Liam's request to keep their marriage secret, and she had promised. So instead, she took a deep breath and said the only thing she could. "I'm not going to marry you, Norman." His face twisted in confusion and then anger. "What do you mean? You're not going to marry me?" "I can't. I won't," she said, her voice steady now, calm. "I don't want to." Norman blinked, as if the very idea of being turned down was beyond comprehension. "What? What the hell does that mean, Abigail? Of course, you want to marry me. You asked me, remember?" She shook her head slowly, looking up at him, feeling a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. "Well, now I'm unasking you. Not that it matters anymore. Doesn't matter?" He scoffed, his voice rising. "You're turning me down after all this? After I finally agree to marry you? You're rejecting me?" His eyes narrowed in disbelief. She didn't say anything. She didn't owe him an explanation. All she could think about was how freeing it felt to stand there and say no to him, to finally take back control of her life. Norman's face reddened with anger, his mouth twisting into a sneer. "You're an idiot, Abigail. You'll regret this. You'll never find someone like me again. You'll die alone, wishing you'd taken this chance. You were never good enough for me, anyway." He stormed out, slamming the door behind him so hard it rattled the walls. Abigail stood there, staring at the closed door, her heart pounding in her chest. Silence filled the room as she tried to process everything that had just happened. The truth was slowly sinking in. Norman was out of her life for good. Abigail sank onto the edge of the bed, wrapping her arms around herself. What had she ever seen in him? She tried to remember the things that had made her fall in love with Norman in the first place, but nothing came to mind. Instead, she realized that she had fooled herself. She had built Norman up in her head, creating this fantasy version of him that didn't exist. She'd convinced herself that he was something more, something better than he truly was. A soft laugh escaped her lips, tinged with regret. How silly she had been, wasting 2 years on a man who didn't even care about her, a man who thought so little of her that he assumed she was chasing his money. She shuddered at the thought of what might have happened if he hadn't turned her down. What if she had married him? What kind of miserable life would she have been trapped in? Abigail shook her head, grateful that things had played out the way they had. He'd rejected her, and it had been the wake-up call she needed. She was free now, free from the illusion she'd been living in. Glancing at the clock, she decided to go to bed, too drained to finish packing. Tomorrow was another day, and she'd finish getting ready to move into Liam's place. The next day at work, Abigail was buried in emails when a delivery arrived at her desk. She blinked in surprise at the enormous bouquet of flowers that towered over her keyboard, a cascade of vibrant colors and delicate petals. Her heart skipped a beat as she reached for the note nestled within the blooms. "See you when I get back." A smile tugged at her lips, spreading across her face before she could stop it. Liam? She couldn't help but feel a warmth bloom inside her, a happiness she hadn't felt in a long time. The flowers were stunning, and they instantly brightened her day. Colleagues started gathering around, admiring the flowers and offering teasing comments. "Who are those from?" one of them asked. Abigail shrugged, not bothering to correct them when they assumed they were from Norman. Let them think what they wanted. She wasn't about to explain the complicated web her life had become. 10 minutes later, her phone buzzed on her desk. Glancing at the screen, she saw it was Norman. Rolling her eyes, she answered, bracing herself for whatever nonsense he had to say. "Who sent you the flowers?" he demanded. "I got a text from Winnie and she said you got flowers at work." "Who sent them?" "I'm working, Norman. I don't have time for this." Without waiting for his response, she hung up and immediately turned off her phone. The satisfaction of cutting him off washed over her, and she leaned back in her chair, closing her eyes for a moment. She wasn't letting him ruin this. Later that afternoon, Abigail left work early, feeling lighter than she had in a long time. The thought of moving into Liam's place was strange, exciting, and nerve-wracking all at once. As she arrived at the address he had given her, she was stunned. The building towered over the street, a sleek, modern structure that screamed luxury. The penthouse, it was nothing like she had expected. A butler greeted her at the entrance, and she blinked, still trying to wrap her mind around it all. He took her bags. "Welcome, Mrs. Kennedy. Please allow me to show you to the master suite." Abigail followed him, wide-eyed, as she took in the opulence of the space. Everything gleamed. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, elegant furniture. It was more than she had ever imagined. The view from the floor-to-ceiling windows alone was breathtaking. This was another world. As the butler led her to the master suite, a maid appeared at her side. "Dinner will be served at 6, Mrs. Kennedy. If you need anything before then, please don't hesitate to ask." Abigail nodded, still too stunned to speak. Who exactly had she married? Her thoughts raced as she looked around the room, taking in the massive four-poster bed, the rich fabrics, the sheer size of the place. She had no idea who Liam really was, but clearly he wasn't just an ordinary guy. That evening, as she was settling into the plush bedding, her phone rang. She answered without checking the caller ID. "Where are you?" "I went to your place, and you're not there." "It's late, Abigail. Where the hell are you?" Norman's voice snapped through the line, cold and demanding. Abigail's stomach twisted in irritation. "I moved," she said, keeping her voice steady. "You what? Where did you move to? Tell me where you are, Abigail." "It's none of your business," she replied firmly. "Stop calling me, Norman. We're over." Abigail hung up on him again, her heart racing. She was done with him, done with his possessiveness and arrogance. He couldn't control her anymore. The phone rang again, and she snatched it up, ready to tell him off for the last time. "Norman, I told you." "Abigail, it's me." Liam's soothing voice cut through her frustration. She exhaled, feeling all the tension drain from her body. "Oh, I thought it was Norman again. Sorry." "Is he giving you trouble? If you want me to deal with him, just say the word," Liam offered, his tone calm but with a touch of concern. Abigail smiled, grateful for his offer. "No, it's fine. I can handle him. I'm going to block him right now. By the way, thank you for the flowers." "I'm glad you like them," he replied warmly. "They're beautiful," she said, her heart warming again. Then she hesitated, unsure if she should even ask, but curiosity got the better of her. "Liam, who are you? This place, it's incredible." "You could look me up if you're really curious," he teased. "No, I want you to tell me." He laughed, a deep teasing sound. "I suppose you'll find out soon enough. For now, just enjoy it." Despite his playful evasion, his voice put her at ease. She smiled as she curled up in the massive bed, feeling happier than she had in a long time. "I will," she promised, letting the mystery settle around her. For once, she didn't need all the answers right now. Everything felt right. The next evening, the restaurant was buzzing with laughter and conversation as Abigail and her co-workers celebrated their team's big win. It felt good to let loose after all the hard work, and she found herself relaxing, enjoying the flow of drinks and good company. For the first time in days, she felt at ease, the events of the past week fading into the background. Then, out of nowhere, Norman walked in. Abigail froze, her heart sinking. He looked around, quickly spotting her at the table, and his expression darkened. She hadn't told anyone about their breakup yet, and when her coworkers noticed him, they greeted him with casual familiarity. "Hey, Norman, come join us," one of them called out. But Norman didn't respond to their invitation. He locked eyes with her, his jaw clenched, and Abigail knew this wasn't going to be a simple conversation. He marched over to the table, ignoring everyone else, and stopped right in front of her. "Abigail, we need to talk." The table fell silent, and she could feel all eyes on her. Her stomach churned, and she shifted uncomfortably in her seat. "Norman, this is neither the time nor the place," she said, trying to keep her voice calm. "We can discuss this later." "No, we're going to hash this out right now," he insisted. She glanced around, seeing her coworkers watching the exchange with wide eyes. The festive mood had evaporated, leaving an awkward silence in its place. "Norman, please," she tried again, her voice firmer. "Not here." But he wasn't listening. His eyes dropped to her hand, where Liam's ring sat snugly on her finger. Norman's expression twisted in confusion, then anger. He reached out and grabbed her hand, yanking it toward him. "What is this?" he demanded, his voice louder now, drawing attention from the surrounding tables. Abigail yanked her hand away, her heart racing. "It's a ring," she said, struggling to keep her voice steady. "Liam gave it to me." "Who the hell is Liam?" Norman's voice was sharp, and she could see the confusion and disbelief in his eyes. He looked around the table, as if expecting someone to fill in the blanks, but no one said a word. "He's a friend," she replied, her pulse quickening. Norman let out a bitter laugh. "A friend? Why would this friend give you a ring? And why are you wearing it on that finger? What is this, some kind of joke?" "Because he wanted me to have it," she said simply, meeting his glare head-on. Norman's eyes narrowed as he studied the ring, his lips curling in disdain. Then his expression shifted to something smug. "This looks like some kind of heirloom. Wait, this isn't real, is it? This whole thing is fake. You made him up." Abigail blinked in surprise, but before she could say anything, he went on, his voice laced with venom. "You sent yourself those flowers at work, didn't you? You're just trying to make me jealous. How pathetic, Abigail. Honestly, it's embarrassing." Heat flared in her chest, and she felt her temper rising. She stood up, pushing her chair back, and faced him. "I don't care about making you jealous, Norman. And for the record, I didn't send myself flowers. Liam did." Norman scoffed, crossing his arms. "Yeah, right. This Liam guy doesn't exist. You've completely lost it." Abigail took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "You're wrong, and for the last time, I broke up with you. We're done, Norman. You need to accept that and leave me alone." The words hung in the air for a moment, and she could see the anger building in Norman's eyes. He stood there for a beat, his fists clenched at his sides, before he finally turned on his heel and stormed off, pushing past the tables as he made his way out of the restaurant. For a second, the tension at the table was unbearable, everyone sitting in stunned silence. Abigail exhaled slowly, feeling the weight of the moment lift, and turned to her coworkers, an apologetic smile on her face. "Sorry about that," she said softly. One of her coworkers, Helen, piped up with a grin. "Well, that was awkward, but hey, at least we know you've got good taste in drama." The table burst into laughter, and Abigail couldn't help but chuckle along with them, grateful for the light-hearted comment that broke the tension. "Thanks, Helen," she said, feeling the mood start to shift back to normal. They resumed their celebration, the awkwardness quickly fading as the drinks started flowing again. But even as the night continued, a small smile played on her lips, knowing that the worst was behind her. The soft, enticing scent of freshly brewed coffee drifted through the air, gently pulling her from sleep. Abigail's eyes fluttered open, and she blinked in surprise at the breakfast tray sitting on the nightstand. It was beautifully arranged, complete with a steaming cup of coffee, fresh fruit, and buttery croissants. For a moment, she thought she was still dreaming. Then she heard his voice. "Wake up, Mrs. Kennedy," Liam said softly from beside the bed. She turned to see him sitting on the edge of the mattress, his face lit with a warm smile. His hair was slightly tousled, like he had just gotten out of bed himself, and there was a lightness in his eyes that made her heart skip a beat. "I enjoyed watching you sleep, but I think I'd prefer a proper welcome." Still groggy, Abigail sat up, a shy smile spreading across her face. Without thinking, she threw herself into his arms, her cheek resting against the warmth of his chest. It felt so natural, so right. His arms closed around her, strong and reassuring, and she breathed in the scent of him, clean and comforting. Since that first night, when she moved into the penthouse, they had talked on the phone every day, sometimes more than once a day. Liam had said it was important they start to get to know each other, so they wouldn't be complete strangers when he returned. Even though she didn't know that much about him yet, there was something about his voice that made her feel like she had known him for years. It was deep and soothing, with a hint of playfulness that always made her smile. As the days passed, their conversations grew longer and more intimate. Liam shared his dreams and fears, and Abigail found herself opening up to him in ways she never had with anyone else. It was as if they were building a connection that transcended physical distance. She began to look forward to his return, and now he was finally here. Liam held her tighter, resting his chin on the top of her head. "I didn't expect to miss you, but I did. I hope you feel the same way," he admitted, his voice low and intimate. Abigail pulled back slightly to look up at him, her face warming under his tender gaze. "I do," she said, her heart fluttering with the realization that this was happening. They were slowly, cautiously falling for each other. His smile deepened, and he reached into his pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. Her breath caught as he opened it, revealing a breathtakingly beautiful wedding ring set. The diamonds sparkled in the morning light, the intricate design mesmerizing. Even though she wasn't an expert in jewelry, she could tell this was something rare, something that cost a fortune. "Liam," she whispered, her eyes wide in awe, "it's stunning. As soon as I saw it, I knew it belonged on your beautiful hand." She hesitated, her fingers twitching in her lap. The ring looked so precious, she wasn't sure she should even touch it, let alone wear it. "Are you sure?" she asked, feeling overwhelmed by the weight of the gesture. "Absolutely," he said with conviction. He took her left hand, gently removing the signet ring that had been a placeholder, and carefully slid the wedding band and engagement ring onto her ring finger. The metal was cool against her skin, and she marveled at how perfect it looked, like it had always belonged there. Liam brought her hand to his lips in an old-world romantic gesture, kissing it with a reverence that made her heart race. He murmured against her skin, his voice soft but full of meaning, "Thank you for being my wife." Her chest felt tight with emotion, her heart thumping so loudly she was sure he could hear it. She barely managed to whisper, "Thank you." He stood, his presence still looming large over the room, and smiled down at her. "Now go get ready. We have a lot to talk about." Abigail watched him as he left the room, her heart racing in her chest, his words still echoing in her mind. "Thank you for being my wife." Her pulse quickened at the memory of the way he had said it, how his lips had brushed against her hand. It was like something out of a dream, and she wasn't sure if she was ready to wake up. The butler greeted Abigail Smith as she stepped downstairs, his polished demeanor as impeccable as ever. "Mr. Kennedy is waiting for you in the study, Mrs. Kennedy." "Thank you," she murmured, nerves fluttering as she smoothed down the front of her dress. She approached the study door, taking a deep breath before gently pushing it open. Liam Kennedy was sitting on the couch, leaning back comfortably, but as soon as he saw her, his face lit up with a warm, genuine smile. It was impossible not to compare his reaction to how Norman Kings used to greet her, if you could even call it a greeting. Norman had always seemed annoyed, as if her presence was more of a bother than anything else, but Liam looked genuinely happy to see her, and that made her heart flutter. "You wanted to know why I needed a wife?" he asked, his gaze steady. "Yes," she replied, still slightly unsure of what he was about to reveal. "You're wealthy, handsome, and very kind, if I'm not mistaken." He laughed, a rich, light sound that put her at ease instantly. He gestured for her to sit beside him on the couch, and she took a seat, feeling the warmth of his presence beside her. "I was engaged to be married once," he began, "but my fiancé ran away with another man the day I met you." Abigail blinked in surprise, an odd mix of jealousy and pity flooding her chest. She didn't know how to respond. Part of her felt sorry for him, but another part of her couldn't help but feel glad that he hadn't married someone else. After a beat, she settled on a soft, "I'm sorry." He shook his head, a smile still playing on his lips. Don't be. We weren't in love. The marriage had been arranged by our families. She nodded, unsure if that made her feel better or worse. But she met someone else and fell in love. I'm happy for her. A wave of relief washed over Abigail. He was free, emotionally as well as literally. She hadn't realized just how much that mattered to her until this moment. Liam's expression softened, his eyes meeting hers. But I still needed to get married, Abigail. Not for love or companionship, but to salvage my public image. As the head of my family and our company, I have to project stability, respectability, and most of all, a traditional family life. It's what our investors want to see. They need reassurance because, well, I'm young for someone in my position. She absorbed his words, understanding more clearly now the weight of his responsibilities. It wasn't just about appearances. It was about maintaining control of something bigger than himself. But then his gaze lingered on her, and something in his eyes shifted. But I think fate stepped in to give me a helping hand, he said softly. His voice dropped slightly, hinting at something deeper behind his words. He wasn't just talking about his public image anymore. Abigail's heart fluttered, this time with an unmistakable warmth. He was alluding to feelings that went beyond obligation or convenience, feelings that mirrored her own. Then the memory of the scene at the restaurant with Norman came to mind. She shifted in her seat, glancing at Liam, who seemed completely at ease. Part of her worried about how it might affect him, especially when he had made it clear that protecting his public image was important. I wanted to ask you something, she began, her voice hesitant. He turned to look at her, his expression soft. What is it? She swallowed, feeling her nerves creep up. The scene with Norman at the restaurant. I'm really sorry that happened. I hope it won't cause you any problems since you're trying to maintain your public image. Liam's lips twitched into a small smile, and he reached over, gently squeezing her hand. You don't need to apologize for that, Abigail. You handled yourself well, and it's not something you could have controlled. Relief washed over her, and she smiled back at him, grateful for his understanding. Thank you. I just didn't want to make things more difficult for you. He shook his head, still smiling. You didn't. Trust me. Besides, my request at the courthouse had been more about you having feelings for someone else. I don't think I need to worry about that. Before she could respond, Liam straightened slightly, his tone shifting back to its usual easy charm. Tonight, we're attending a gala. Think of it as our official coming out as a married couple. The upper echelons of society will be there, so we'll make quite the impression. A gala? Her stomach flipped, a mix of excitement and nerves bubbling up. This was all happening so fast, and the idea of being introduced to Liam's world as his wife felt like stepping into a completely different universe. Before that, you'll be meeting my family. We're having an early dinner, and I thought it was the perfect time for introductions. Abigail's pulse quickened. His family. She wasn't sure what to expect, but she knew she had to make a good impression. This wasn't just dinner, it was a defining moment. Liam must have sensed her nerves because he reached out and gently squeezed her hand, grounding her with his touch. You'll be fine. They'll love you. His words gave her strength, and she nodded, smiling back at him. She could do this. With Liam by her side, she felt like she could handle anything. As they drove to dinner, Liam asked her about her family. She told him how her parents had passed away in an accident when she was 19, and how she didn't have any other family. She could see the sympathy in his eyes as he nodded, squeezing her hand. Then he began to tell her about his own family. When they arrived, Abigail realized Liam had been right. His family was lovely, warm, and welcoming in every way. She could see where he got his kindness and easy humor from. They were gracious and seemed genuinely happy to meet her. The tension she'd felt earlier melted away as she relaxed into the conversation, enjoying their company. Back at the penthouse, she stood in front of the mirror in the bedroom, staring at the breathtaking ball gown laid out on the bed. She had worried she wouldn't have anything appropriate for the gala, but Liam had assured her it had all been taken care of, and he wasn't kidding. The gown was a masterpiece, deep emerald with intricate beadwork that shimmered in the light. It was the kind of dress she had only seen in magazines, something out of a fairy tale. Next to it was a box containing diamond jewelry, simple yet stunning. She ran her fingers over the fabric, still in disbelief, feeling like Cinderella about to go to the ball. She slipped into the gown, the weight of it both grounding and exhilarating. The diamonds sparkled as she clasped the necklace around her neck, completing the transformation. With one final glance in the mirror, she smoothed her hands down the front of the dress and made her way downstairs. When she reached the bottom of the stairs, Liam was waiting for her, his eyes immediately locking on hers. His reaction took her breath away. He stared at her as if transfixed, his gaze sweeping over her as though he couldn't believe what he was seeing. "You look beautiful," he said, his voice low and full of awe. Heat rushed to her cheeks, and she couldn't help but smile. "You're pretty beautiful yourself." He laughed softly, stepping forward and pulling her close. For a moment, the world outside disappeared, and it was just the two of them. "Ready for the gala?" he teased, his breath warm against her cheek. "As long as I'm with you," she whispered back, her nerves melting away in his presence. The gala was in full swing when they arrived. The grand ballroom filled with glittering lights, elegant music, and people dressed to the nines. Abigail tightened her grip on Liam's hand as they entered, feeling a wave of nervousness creep in. But Liam, ever the gentleman, leaned down and whispered, "I won't leave your side, I promise." His words steadied her, and she nodded, feeling reassured. As they made their way through the crowd, Liam was the perfect escort, introducing her to the upper echelons of society with pride, his hand never leaving hers. She noticed some of the women casting sideways glances her way, their jealousy thinly veiled, but it didn't bother her. How could it? She was with Liam, kind, handsome, and everything she could have hoped for. But as the evening wore on, the weight of the event began to take its toll. The lights, the music, the endless conversation, it was all a bit overwhelming. She leaned into Liam, whispering, "I need some fresh air." He nodded immediately, his hand guiding her to the balcony. The cool night air hit her face, and she sighed with relief, the noise of the party fading behind them. "This is much better," she said, closing her eyes and enjoying the quiet. Liam stood beside her, his arm brushing against hers, the simple contact enough to calm her racing heart. But the peace didn't last long. A voice, sharp and sneering, cut through the stillness. "Well, look at you, Abigail, all dressed up, pretending to be a princess." She stiffened, instantly recognizing the cool tone. Norman. He stepped out onto the balcony, his arms crossed, an ugly smirk on his face. "Didn't take long for you to move on, I see," he sneered, his eyes darting to Liam and then back to her, filled with venom. Liam tensed beside her, but he didn't move. She could feel his protectiveness radiating off him, but he let her handle it. "What do you want, Norman?" she asked, her voice steady despite the anger boiling inside her. Norman laughed, a harsh sound that grated against the peaceful night. "Just wanted to see how far you've fallen, hanging all over some guy you probably barely know, trying to fit in where you don't belong." Abigail opened her mouth to respond, but before she could, Liam stepped forward, his voice calm but cold. "That's enough," Norman sneered, looking Liam up and down. "And who are you, her latest distraction?" Liam's eyes narrowed slightly, but he didn't rise to the bait. "I'm her husband." The words hung in the air, a declaration that left no room for doubt. Norman's expression faltered for a split second before the sneer returned. "Her husband? Is that what you're calling it? You really are pathetic, Abigail," he said, his voice dripping with malice. "Leave," Liam said firmly, his voice a low warning. Norman's sneer didn't falter as he took a step closer, refusing to be dismissed so easily. His eyes narrowed as he looked at Abigail. "I underestimated you, Abigail. I thought you were innocent, naive. But I see now that you're nothing more than a gold digger. You weren't satisfied with me, huh? You had to go after bigger fish." Abigail opened her mouth to respond, but Liam beat her to it, stepping in front of her with an icy calm that sent a chill through the air. His voice was low and controlled, but it carried the weight of something far more dangerous than anger. "You think you know who Abigail is? Let me enlighten you. Abigail isn't after anyone's money. In fact, she's wealthier than you'll ever be." Norman's smug expression wavered, but he forced a laugh. "What are you talking about?" Liam glanced at Abigail, and she nodded, giving him silent permission. "Her net worth is in the hundreds of millions." Norman blinked, his face going pale as the reality of Liam's words sank in. "What?" Liam smirked. "Abigail planned to reveal that to you as a surprise the night you turned her down at the restaurant. She won the big lottery everyone's talking about and was going to give you the winning ticket as an engagement present." The blood drained from Norman's face as his mouth opened and closed, trying to find the words. "You're lying." "Not at all. In fact, I should thank you for being dumb enough to let her slip through your fingers. I'm the lucky one now." Norman's mouth twitched, but when he tried to retort, all that came out were garbled, nonsensical words. The air around him felt heavy with his own humiliation. He straightened, attempting to salvage some dignity. "You think you can just throw her money in my face and get away with this? You don't know who you're dealing with." Liam raised an eyebrow, his voice turning even colder. "I think you're the one who doesn't know who you're speaking to." Norman glared at him, but before he could say another word, Liam continued. "You see, after you started hounding Abigail, I took the liberty of acquiring your family's business. I also acquired the bank holding the mortgage to your family's estate. The deals were finalized yesterday." Norman's face turned ghostly white. "It's now under my control. So here's how this works. You're going to disappear. I'm giving you the courtesy of a warning, but my patience and goodwill only extend so far. If you push me, I might reconsider and take everything your family has left." The threat lingered in the air, and for a moment Norman stood there frozen, his pride crumbling. Without another word, he turned and slunk away, his tail between his legs. Abigail stood there, stunned by what she had just witnessed. This side of Liam, calm, controlled, yet undeniably powerful, left her in awe. She had never seen someone wield their influence so effortlessly, and the fact that he had done all of this for her made her heart swell with gratitude and something deeper. Liam turned to her, his expression softening. "You all right?" She nodded, still processing everything. "I can't believe you did that." He smiled, stepping closer. "I'll always protect you, Abigail. You're my wife." The weight of his words, the tenderness in his voice, filled her with warmth. Without thinking, she leaned up and pressed her lips to his, a shy yet certain kiss that felt like the start of something beautiful. When they pulled back, he smiled down at her, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "We have a lot to look forward to," Liam said, his eyes filled with promise. She smiled, her heart feeling full. "Yes, we do." A few weeks later, Abigail went to lunch with Winnie. Winnie stirred her coffee, glancing up at her with a raised eyebrow. "So, have you heard about Norman?" Abigail tilted her head, pretending curiosity. Winnie leaned in, her voice low, as if sharing a juicy piece of gossip. He was fired from his family's company and left town. Apparently, he offended someone really powerful, and his family had to send him away to avoid losing their money and ruining their reputation, Winnie said, her eyes sparkling with the thrill of gossip. Abigail blinked. "Really?" Winnie leaned closer, lowering her voice. "No one's saying much, but the rumor is that Norman's family cut him off financially. They think he's a spoiled brat who needs to grow up. No one knows where he went or if he's ever coming back." Abigail smiled politely, making a neutral comment. "Well, maybe that's for the best." Inside, though, she felt a deep sense of relief. Liam had made sure she'd never have to deal with Norman's bitterness again, and for that, she was forever grateful. Abigail's life had taken twists she never could have predicted. What began as heartbreak and rejection turned into a newfound sense of power. In Liam, she found not just a husband, but a partner who saw her worth and stood by her side through every challenge. In the end, Abigail realized that fate sometimes leads us down paths we never imagined, only to bring us exactly where we belong. And that sometimes the doors that close lead us to better ones, opening a path to people who see our true worth.